Hi guys, welcome to Write In Wednesday. I'm happy to be back because it's not Wednesday, it's Friday obviously, but we're doing a write-in today. I have a bunch of questions that I've been meaning to answer, and I don't know, Wednesdays are like ugly days maybe. I never look camera ready, and also my kids are everywhere. It's been really hard to find quiet, so they're upstairs watching a movie right now, and they might interrupt us. I don't know. We shall see if I get through this or not. But um, yeah. So we'll start off. I seriously have a ton, and so I'm just gonna jump right in. Otherwise, you're gonna be here forever. The first question is from Victoria. How many seasons do you have planned for Love and Decay? And the answer I've always been saying is 3. I have 3 seasons planned and plotted. But I'm not holding myself to that. If it takes 4 seasons to get to a conclusion, then yeah, I'll write 4 seasons. But 3 seasons are planned right now. The one fear I have is dragging it out longer than necessary. So the goal is not to do that to where you're tired of zombies, but we'll see. There are definitely 3 seasons right now, and gosh, we're almost to the middle of season 2. I guess we're only like 1/4 of the way through, but it feels like we're almost to the middle. I don't know why, but we're not. Don't worry. There's still plenty of season 2 left to go. Next question from Kim. Are there any routines or are there any routines or ritual type things you do to get into your writer's mode or world, or vice versa, to get back into reality or life? Um, I don't know. I try to pay attention. I mean, I surf, I have a routine when I get on my computer, and I search, I do all my social media things to kind of try to keep up with it. I don't know if that's a ritual or routine. I just do it. It's habit. But to write a story, I don't know. I usually have a drink. I kind of get my little setup. I have a drink. I have my headphones because I always listen to music, or try to most of the time. Unless it's just me and the kids, then I don't want to ignore them with my headphones on. Um, I don't know. I read what I wrote last because sometimes I don't remember. And, so the conversation flows, or the setting still flows, or whatever. So I do that. And then my writing and reality kind of just weave together. I kind of you know, play with the kids or get the kids ready for the day, and then I write for 15 minutes until one of them needs me, and then I go deal with them, and then I come back to the computer and I write for another 10 minutes or 20, depending on what they give me. If they're playing well, or sometimes I don't get to sit down and write until lunchtime, or after lunchtime at our rest time. So no, I'm just kind of always in both modes, and I just go back and forth at will because I have to, because for little kids, they don't make it easy to get a ritual down for anything except bedtime. We do have a ritual for bedtime. So yeah, that was a terrible answer, but that's all I got. Sorry. Amy asks, do you like Kane? What a fun question. I love Kane. Of course, I love all my characters, and that's true. I mean, some of them are horrible people, but they're still my characters, so I kind of have a soft spot for everyone. I did. I cried when Lucan died. Um, that was tough for me, even though he's so evil and people, just hate him, and they should. He's a terrible person, and there was no redeeming quality in him. But I don't know, I guess I write characters a lot of times that are so, they're not very black and white, they're very gray. They can go either direction. I think I have a few in every single series I've ever written. So I just always kind of believe that that redemption is possible, and I know they're fiction, but who knows what my brain's going to come up with. So I guess I always believe in redemption. And so I just kind of cherish every character, knowing that even if they are evil or whatever, that there is still maybe a sliver of goodness in them that they could become, maybe. I don't know. I do, and I have a soft spot for Kane because he's so conflicted and he's had it rough. I mean, they all have. And I really take into context when I'm writing, like, the world that they live in. Like, what has it been like for the past 2 years living with his father, living in a colony that does not have other women his age or that he's attracted to. He's seen, more death in the last 2 years than anyone should ever have to see. He's killed. He's had to make tough choices. He's seen people be tortured and murdered. And I mean, I would think that those would just destroy a person's soul bit by bit with every incident. And so maybe he's bad, and some people live through it and come out on the other side better than he has. But I don't know. Circumstances mean a lot to us, so they have to mean a lot to my fictional characters too. Anyways, and I know where the story is going and you don't. So it's easier for you to maybe hate or like him, like on either side of the argument. But yeah, I definitely do. I love him. Just like I love Hendrix and Reagan. They all get a little place in my heart. Next question. Melissa asks, did Hendrix contemplate breaking up with Reagan, and was he really worried about Kane as competition? So I can't read my own writing, which is awesome. But I don't know if he contemplated breaking up with her. But I mean, that was a big episode 2 is what she's referring to, when Reagan kept her secrets and then it came out and Hendrix and her had the big DTR, determine the relationship. That's from college. But I don't know if it was ever like to the point where he was like, yeah, if she doesn't think how I think, then I'll break up with her. But there would have been bigger problems. Their relationship would have started to decline, I think, if Reagan would have thought differently. Just because of who Hendrix is. He's he's very set in his convictions. When he believes in something, he believes it 100%. There's no arguing. This is it. And you saw that with how he fell for Reagan, so completely. And so I don't know. I think he's also a fighter, and he fought to get her attention. He fought to get her to like him. And so I don't think he would have necessarily just wrote off the relationship and walked away. But there would have been problems. But I think Hendrix will always fight for her. Unless something terribly huge happens, he's in it. Like, he is in it. And Reagan's the one dragging her feet, not Hendrix. So I don't think he would have broke up with her. I mean, I don't see that happening in episode 2 of season 2, but I think that they would have had bigger issues. But Reagan is not, it's hard to, because you see her this way, you read her in a certain way, but she is, I don't know, she's smarter than the average girl. She's smart about Kane, and it seems like she's dumb, and I get that, I do, but she just has hope for humanity, and Kane is kind of this very tangible symbol of what humanity has become for her. And it's not that she probably takes on my take, that just, obviously she does because I'm writing her, but that it's not necessarily attraction, but it's disappointment in what humanity has become. I mean, obviously she's attracted to him in a certain sense, but yeah, her connection to him has more to do with her hope for his redemption than it does for anything else. And so even if her actions come off confusing to someone, especially like you or to Hendrix, there's a reason behind it, and you have to trust Reagan. You have to just, my heroines, they can be so frustrating, I know that, but just trust them. They make mistakes, but I'm all about the happily ever after. So, and then the second part of that was he really worried about Kana's competition. And I don't think, I mean, pre-zombie apocalypse, after, Hendrix is not the kind of guy that's going to worry about another guy. Like, he's confident enough that, you know, he thinks he's pretty awesome. So maybe he has a reason to, but he was never worried that Kane could take Reagan away from him in the emotional sense, maybe in the physical, like, kidnapping sense. But he is worried about Reagan, and just like you are, just like, what's she thinking? What's she gonna do? She's unpredictable. She's she doesn't think things through all the way. She just kind of jumps in with 2 feet and goes for it. And so, I mean, that's what he's worried about. He sees the compassion in her that could be the downfall to their relationship in a sense. So that's what he's worried about, not Kane. He doesn't think you can stack him and Kane up next to each other and you're going to pick Kane, because he knows he's the better man, and he's very secure in that. So, yeah, I hope that answered your question. The next question from Jennifer. Have you ever had a fan recognize you and approach you for a picture or an autograph, or any funny fan stories or emails? So, I don't know how to answer this exactly. I mean, I have been recognized. Like, I went to Utopia last summer, and there were enough readers there that I was recognized, and I guess I did sign some things, but I also made really good friends, so it's like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. I'm probably the weirdest out of any meeting. I'm the weird one. I had, one time I have this good friend, and she shared my books with her friends, and we went to a concert, and her friend was there, and she really loved the Starcross series, and she was a little starstruck, which was really weird to me, because I'm like the most normal person you'll ever meet. Like, less than normal. I'm like the weirdest person you'll ever meet. So that was really, I was like, it's me. There's nothing to be weirded out about right now. But, so yeah, so I guess that happened once. I get a lot of fan emails that are funny, like demanding for things, or you're mad at me about something, and I just take it all as a compliment. Even if you're yelling at me, just thanks for caring enough about the books. I had a fan once send me a winter coat, but it's really cute. I wear it all the time. I get compliments, and I'm really good friends with her now. So I don't know. I don't think it was weird. It was really nice. And now we're really good friends, so it worked out. But yeah, that's my answer. I don't know if someone really was starstruck next to me. I don't know what I would do. Tell them not to be. Like, I'm like so normal. So, not even normal. Normal's not even the right word. Weird. Kayla asks, out of all of your books, who is your favorite character? Which is the worst question you could possibly ask me. And she admits that it's a hard question. But, depends on which book I'm writing or planning in my head. They're all my favorites for different reasons. Like, not even just the main characters, but like all of my characters. And I write a lot. Like, my casts are big. One of my favorite characters to write in the Starcross was Sebastian. Like, I like a lot of my secondary characters because they don't get enough attention. Like, I don't give them enough attention, so I love them more to, like, make up for it. They're fiction. They don't care, but it is what it is. So I loved Sebastian. I still love him. I can't wait for that book. I can't wait to write it. It's not coming out till September, but FYI, I cannot wait to write it. That's going to be a good one. And then I love the younger Parkers, and they don't get enough page time. Eden is probably, she's like my firstborn, like my firstborn child. So she's probably my favorite, and she's probably the most like me, if I'm being honest. And yeah, I think there have been really fun characters. Like Phoenix is fun to write about, and Piper. Sometimes I like writing evil characters like Kane. I love writing Kane and his dad. So if I had to nail it down, I would probably say Eden. But don't tell my other characters. And like right now, I'm like working on getting the Fallout. So Ivy is like in my heart in that book. I just can't even talk about it because it's emotional. And then I have future characters that I haven't even written yet that get into the mix. There's just too many. There's a lot of worlds up in this head. It's part of the reason I'm so weird. But okay, next question from Ashley. How do I come up with storylines and develop stories? Has there been a common inspiration with the stories? So, how do I come up with storylines? Mostly, it starts as like one thought, and then it develops into something bigger. Sometimes I don't come up with them. I swear they come up with themselves. Like the first book I ever wrote, I had no plans, which this one is not published and it will never be published, but I don't even know where it is at this point. Which is not very sentimental of me, but it's somewhere on a jump drive or an old computer. I don't know. Anyways, I literally sat down at the computer and started typing and just let the story kind of take off. And that's why I will never publish it because it's not very good. It's also just very immaturely written. And then the same thing happened with Reckless. I sat down to write a completely different story. I thought, and I talked about this in my blog yesterday, but I just thought I would write something trendy and that would get me published. And then instead, I got Reckless Magic. So that did, like, as soon as probably 2 chapters in, I realized it was going in a much, much, much different direction. And then I sat down and I planned out the first book. And then as soon as the first book was planned, the second book was planned before I had even gotten, like, probably a third of the way in. The second book was planned and then the ending was planned. So, yeah, so there wasn't a whole lot of development there. The Starbright series I had planned before I wrote either book. Actually, that was the first book idea I ever came up with, and that was just after my first daughter was born. Her name is Stella, and I just had this really fun thought about the book idea. And I didn't write that though, obviously, until after Endless, and that took years of planning because I sat down to write it when I wrote that first book and I couldn't do it. Like, it just wouldn't, the story wasn't there. And then I sat down before Reckless, and the story still wasn't there. And so it wasn't until the third time I sat down with it, until after Endless, that I really had a full conceptualized plot in my head. And yeah, so that one took years of planning, and by planning, I mean just like daydreaming about it. Just like when I get 5 minutes, I'm thinking. So I'm thinking through plots and characters, and this is how I was back then, and it's how I am now. I was gonna say I think a lot, but more likely it's daydreaming a lot. I'm always up in my head. So, it kind of takes like one word for me to get inspired. The Rush series was inspired by painting. Love and Decay was inspired by my husband's suggestion, and at first I was like, nope, I don't have a zombie story, like, sorry. Good idea though. But then he said zombies and like novella series, and then my brain just started turning, and before I knew it, there was this whole 3 seasons of Love and Decay. So mainly thinking. I don't really develop stories. I mean, I do. I have an idea and I'll sit down and I'll make notes. I write a lot of notes. I have notebooks full of notes, but um, I don't like to box myself in. I feel like the story isn't natural that way because I'm such a hippie. So I like it to come out very organically as I'm writing, kind of, each chapter can go in a different direction and just kind of let it take me where it wants to go. What was the last part? Has there been a common inspiration with the stories? No, each story has like a completely different origin, even if it's a different thought origin. Yeah, I don't think there's been common inspiration. Like, they're just all, they're up there. And like, really, I mean, you guys probably have, like, it's not anything amazing what I do. You guys probably have story ideas all the time in your head. I mean, I did long before I was a writer. And you just keep taking it to the next place. Like, if I have this idea, then what's A, B, and C after? And keep going with it and keep going with it. Like, Starbright started from my daughter's name, Stella, means star. And around that, this whole world came into being. And so it's just thinking, a lot of thinking, which takes time and energy. I don't get to think a lot on my own with all the kids. But okay, last question. Tina asks, how hard is it to end a series? Well, I don't know because I've never ended a series. Pretty hard. I tried to end the Starcross series, and now I'm in the middle of writing more books for it, so I would say pretty hard. But as far as Endless goes, like it actually wasn't difficult to write Endless. It was more difficult to write Fearless for me than it was to write Endless, because Fearless was in that place where, like, we're into the action, we're into the story, we're like way in. Where else can I go with this without going too, like, without making this book like 10 books longer? You don't want to add like too much, but then you want it in a good place. You have to move the plot so people aren't like, why did I buy this book? And then you have to get it in like the perfect place to write the last book, Endless. And so Fearless was the hardest book for me to write, but Endless was just loose ends. You just have all the answers to all the questions you've been building. You have to get in all the answers, and you have to get the happily ever after. So that to me wasn't hard because I was just working. It was like this cone that would like narrow. Just my visual work for you. Yeah, you're just kind of like working to the last chapter. And I knew exactly where I was going because I had all the questions. I just had to get to the answers, and I had them, thankfully. Might not be true with every book, but I did have all the answers in Endless. And so that, like, I don't know if it's 4 books or 3 books, because the Siren series is a trilogy, and I'm in the 2nd book. And to me, it's flowing very naturally, and then it will set up to the 3rd book perfectly. And so I don't know if it's like trilogies are just easier to write than like a 4-book series where you have to kind of spread out that middle section between 2 books. I don't know. But I'm really excited to end the Siren series because, well, you will be excited for that too after the fall. Yeah. And we'll see. That's the only series I've ended. Otherwise, everything's still open and out there. Yeah. So thanks for the questions, guys. I had fun answering them. I hope you got something coherent out of that. And oh, do you like my scarf? Because I have a friend that makes these, and you can go to Etsy, Design by Ferdi, Ferdi, and they're like my new obsession. I'm like in love with these infinity scarves. So, but anyways, hope you guys are doing well, and we'll talk in the month. No, sooner than that. I'll start making these a priority. Hopefully, the kids did well. Nobody interrupted. So, all right, bye.